Hello, I'm Carol Esser. I'm one of the Master Food Volunteers with Kansas State Extension, and we've been hearing a lot about Mediterranean diet lately. And so today we're going to be making a Mediterranean olive oil and almond cake, because we typically are thinking of salads and vegetables, and so this is just a dessert if you would like to make that. And so I have the oven preheating to 375, and I have already greased the bottom of a pan. You don't need to do the sides. And so in this recipe, we are going to mix together the eggs. I have 2 eggs, and I like to break them apart a little bit before I put them in, just because it makes them a little easier to get incorporated. So it's 2 eggs. It is sugar, and that is a cup of sugar. And I have put it through a sieve just because sometimes I think sugar gets kind of clumpy. I have olive oil, and this of course is an olive oil cake, and I am using an olive oil that says light taste, and it's used for baking and frying. And so it's a little bit better for a cake if you don't want to use the really robust kinds of olive oil, because that will give a different flavor. So put the olive oil in, and then we're also going to put in the milk. This is 3/4 of a cup of milk. That was a 1/2 cup of olive oil. And then we're using lemon zest, or orange zest rather, but you could use lemon. And this is a dried lemon zest, but you could certainly zest a lemon or an orange or a lime or whatever flavor you would like to use. And so mix this together, because it just kind of starts the process, and it makes it a little easier to add in the dry flour ingredients. I get dried orange zest in some of the specialty spice markets, and you can also order it online, and it's very easy to get, but often your regular grocery store will not necessarily have it. But it's something I like to have on hand because I use it in a lot of breads. It just adds a nice bright flavor. And so to the flour mixture, I am going to add the baking powder, baking soda, and salt. And I like to mix it ahead of time, just because, again, I don't like it to be all in one spot at one time. And I have sifted the flour, I've sifted the baking powder, I've sifted the baking soda, because it tends to, again, get clumpy in the can over time. So I'm going to add the flour into the wet ingredients, and then I'm going to get it mixed in. And I'm doing this by hand. You could certainly use a mixer if you wanted to do that, but I find that this works really well for this recipe, because there's not a lot of things that will not mix easily. And this is a fairly loose batter. And I also like to scrape down the sides about halfway through, just to make sure that all the flour is not sticking to the bottom or sticking to the sides of your bowl. And you will see that this is pretty mixed together. And you can see this is what it looks like. And so the orange zest, the dried orange zest, is pretty prominent in here, and it's going to make it very flavorful. So we're going to put this into the pan. Let me move over here. And again, you always want to have your oven preheated, because that way it will start baking immediately. And this is going to take probably about 30 to 35 minutes to bake. And so we will put it in the oven, we will set the timer, and then we will check it. And I sometimes check it about 5 minutes early, just to make sure that it is not getting too brown too quickly. And so this is what it looks like in the pan. So let me clean up this mess, and when we come back, I'm going to show you how you will finish it, because this is finished with an orange marmalade glaze, which is in essence orange marmalade, and then we're topping it with toasted almonds, so it will have a little bit of crunch at the as you taste the final product. The cake is out of the oven. It baked for about 30 minutes and we measured it to 200 degrees. It's always good to use a thermometer to check and see. So this cake does not take a lot of embellishment. It's easy by itself and delicious by itself, but we are going to top it with orange marmalade, and we have heated this in the microwave for just a few minutes because it makes it easier to spread. And it gives it a really nice, pretty sheen on the top. And then we are going to sprinkle it with almonds. So it's going to have that almond flavor. That flavor of the orange is enhanced with the orange marmalade. And I have toasted these. You can certainly toast them in the skillet. If you do that, you have to watch it very carefully. I usually toast mine in the microwave, and I do it in 30-second increments until it gets to be the temperature that or the darkness, the toastness of what I want. So then I just sprinkle these on top. This is a third cup of almonds. You can use slivered almonds if you have it. You could chop the almonds if you wanted to. And then I'm going to cut this and show you what it looks like. And there it is. Hope you try this cake soon.